All right. Hey, everyone. So welcome back as we continue our discussion about the importance of ethics and corporate social responsibility to this idea about strategy, right? And running a business. So up until now, we've really talked about defining ethics, talking about where they come from, talking about their prominence and their relative nature to discussing the conversation about our managers and instilling these in people. But all of this operates under kind of one big assumption, right? And that is that a company acting ethically and one acting unethically are actually going to perform differently or have some meaningful difference in their interest from consumers or things like that. Because at the end of the day, right, we are running a business, we are interested in performance, we're interested in performing well. These are all things that should be kind of at the top of our list. So is there some benefit or reason that we should have ethical strategies in business? Is it actually materialize to anything? Do we have any proof of these kinds of things? Well, glad you asked, right? Because there are a couple of reasons that we've really come to find through research show us why stressing ethical behavior in business actually, yes, does materialize and pay off from a performance standpoint for our businesses. First and foremost, one of the reasons we stress businesses really should try to have ethical strategies of how they do business is because, first and foremost here, unethical strategies and this systemic tolerance of unethical conduct we've come to find can really damage a company's relationship with shareholders and ruin their firm's reputation among specific groups of people. I have Apple here just because we kind of talked about it earlier in an earlier video about their I guess like their practices for like human treatment in Asia for a while, in some of the places where they're saying the conditions were so bad, people were so depressed, and the situation got to be to the point where Apple's response to this idea that people were committing suicide by jumping out the windows at work was they put a net up outside of the windows. A lot of people had a real problem with this idea, but largely from this. If we're looking at it from a business standpoint, even greater, right? If we act unethically, a lot of times it can cause like I guess like a cascading effect on creating really burdensome costs if it's discovered for the organization, for the shareholders, for everybody involved, right? Tyco Electronics I have here in 2002, if you ever knew anything about this. Tyco's board of directors discovered that Kozlowski and Schwartz, two of the company's chief officers, had taken unauthorized bonuses through the organization and loans in the amount of more than $600 million from the organization. And when that got out, the price of Tyco's stock went from trading at like $158 that morning to about $12. It's an unbelievable amount of wealth lost in that organization by the shareholders and the individuals involved, and people just invested in the organization, and it hurt them too, right? I mean, if nothing else, we have to realize that we need to keep our shareholders in mind, especially as public businesses or stakeholders, other people that work there. People's lives are at stake with these situations and these decisions that we make once we're in management positions, right? This is an undeniable guiding light for us in business. So, shareholders can suffer costly damages when unethical behavior is discovered, in the sense of like we see in Tyco Electronics here, or in the form of lower earnings, lower stock price, lower dividends, all these types of things that hurt the longevity and the health of the organization, as well as the people invested in it. And then finally, we have Volkswagen here as an example of how ethical violations become more egregious and the cost of damage control increase alongside of that exponentially a few years ago, when Volkswagen, had long suggested that they were in compliance with environmental standards in Europe. And then they ended up finding out that essentially they knew they weren't, and they had just been blatantly lying about it for quite some time. And in fact, the situation was much more dire with their with the the environmental friendliness of their production and their cars in that sense. When people found out about that they were lying, oh, some people just wanted somebody's head in that situation, right? We don't want to find ourselves in that situation when we're running an organization. It cheapens the brand name of the organization. It makes people feel like think less of you, and you just kind of get this I guess this scummy contagion view about you from a public standpoint, and all these things hurt the life of the business. So we just really want to stress to you, right, there are definite benefits to acting ethically. And while sometimes it may not be the shortest route to where we're trying to go, in the long term, when we do things the right way, it actually has some fantastic advantages for us.